Hello, again. Oh, I love talking into microphones. Can I have Scott's extra 2.5 minutes? Excellent. No, I probably won't need it. So you guys voted me up here to talk about Howdy, and I don't really want to talk about, like, you guys should use Howdy. So I thought I would talk about some really stupid problems that we created for ourselves. So Howdy is a Slack bot. It lives on your team, and you ask it to ask your peers questions. So one example would be like an agile stand-up. What did you do today? What are your blockers? Whatever. Collects all that information, aggregates it, puts it on a wiki, shares it with a team. That's how it works. So seemed like a pretty straightforward problem to us when we set out on that path, but we ran into some really crazy problems. So number one. What happens if two project managers schedule a meeting at the same time or schedule a check-in at the same time? It's a fairly difficult problem to solve, right? Because Howdy the bot DMs you when it has a question to ask. So if the bot is trying to DM you at the same time with two different questions, what the hell happens? By default, it basically just sends you two messages, and now you don't know which question you're answering, and the bot doesn't know which question you're answering, and there's no straightforward or obvious way around that. So we actually had to build like a crazy queuing system and like cron job system so that it could like not buffer that question for later, but then when do you pick up later? And like, is your project manager going to wait around for you to answer those questions like later, or maybe you don't have time to do two back to back? No good solution. It's actually a shit show. Another one is multi-line input. So sometimes the answer to what are you working on today requires you to say more than one small string. And actually what we found very quickly was that people would be like, it would say like, hey Ben, what did you work on today? And the person would be like, enter. And now they're on to the next question. So we want to do this in a graceful way. So like, how can you collect several lines of input and then move on to the next question without having like an awkward, like, say done when you're done? Do you wait 30 seconds and there's no typing, so you move on? Like, not a straightforward thing. I have no solution to that problem at all. Time zones. Time zones are difficult to deal with anyways, but so one of the key functions of Howdy would be scheduling these things, right? Like 9 a.m. every day, the check-in happens. Well, teams on Slack are distributed, and they're not just distributed around like Austin. They're distributed like, it's half the teams in India, half the teams in San Francisco. So what does it mean to schedule a 9 a.m. meeting? And we thought this was a fairly straightforward question. 9 a.m. In the time zone at which the project manager scheduled it. But that turned out to not be what anybody wanted. They actually wanted to run in 9 a.m. in local time, wherever those people are, and aggregate all of those responses over like a 24-hour period into one final document. How the hell am I supposed to do that? I mean, like a lot more complicated than we thought. And then another sort of similar one is like, is the person at work today? Should I wait for this person to answer before I move on to the other people or like finish the job? Like, so you'd think that this would be an obvious, like something that's supported in Slack already, right? Like there's an away mode, you could be offline. There's all these various signals and settings that you can have in Slack, but none of them actually explicitly mean I'm away. So we thought we were being really clever. We're just like, if the person is marked as away, we just won't send them any messages. And when they come online, we'll like say, hey, you missed some stuff while you're away. We launched this thing, and like immediately people started yelling at us because for a variety of reasons, right? Project managers were using Howdy to bring people online, to get them to come online and answer the questions. Other people set themselves away to not so that their peers won't bother them, or just as a social indicator, but that doesn't actually mean they're away. And then like, what if you're sick or on vacation? Like there's not an actual way to say like, hey Slack, I'm on vacation for a week and I'll be back in 7 days, and then you can send me messages. So really, really challenging problems to deal with from an application standpoint. Yeah, that's it.